Hi everyone, my name is Lorenzo and today we're going to talk about the JAK STAT pathway. This is a very important pathway, especially for cytokines and other immune hormones. So let's start. It's a pathway that's really similar to that of receptor tyrosine kinase, except that it involves only two proteins, and this is quite good. So three proteins for precision. Anyway, but that's quite good for remembering. We have just JAK and STAT proteins and a receptor. In this case, the receptor lacks the tyrosine kinase activity. So in the receptor tyrosine kinase, the receptor dimerizes, and then once we have the dimerization, we have the autophosphorylation. In this case, we have a JAK protein, so it's called Janus kinase, kinase, or also just another kinase. It was originally named just another kinase because it was like in a plot of proteins, one of the kinase that they found, but then they renamed it Janus kinase because it has two kinase domains, and one inhibits the other, and also because it phosphorylates itself. So as you can see, we have an autophosphorylation like receptor tyrosine kinase, and it phosphorylates the receptor. So it's Janus is the Roman god that has two faces, and so it has two faces because phosphorylates itself and then phosphorylates the receptor. Anyway, this pathway so involves a cytokine, for example, but not only cytokines, but mainly cytokines. And then once the cytokine binds to the receptor, JAK is like a co-receptor, so we have receptor dimerization, and JAK protein is recruited. And the JAK protein, as I said, is a tyrosine kinase, so it phosphorylates a tyrosine inside the other JAK protein, and then the JAK phosphorylates the receptor. Once the receptor is phosphorylated, STAT proteins are recruited. So STAT proteins have, here we have, for example, STAT1 and STAT2. STAT proteins have a so-called SH2 domain. SH2 domain. I think this is like sarcomology, yes, something like that. An SH2 domain binds to phosphorylated amino acids, such as in this case this amino acid that's phosphorylated, and they recognize it. So once so for example STAT1 and STAT2 are bound to the receptor, they are phosphorylated by Janus kinase again. So here JAK phosphorylates the STAT protein. And once the STAT protein is phosphorylated, it dimerizes. And why does it dimerize? Well, because it dissociates from the receptor, and because it has the SH2 domain. So, for example, here we have the STAT2. The STAT2 is like something like that. And here we have the SH2 domain. This is the SH2 domain. So, and here is the phosphate. So in this case, it's attached to the receptor with the SH2 domain. So here is the receptor, for example. But when it dissociates, well, it can bind to another STAT protein that he is phosphorylated. And so, for example, here we have another STAT protein with the same SH2 domain. So here we have dimerization, like that. I hope that's clear. Anyway, the dimerized STAT proteins go inside the nucleus as a transcription factor. So here we do not have a cascade of protein kinases, it's just STAT proteins that go directly act as a signal transducer, so go directly inside the nucleus and act as a transcription factor. And with the help of other proteins, this activates and modulates transcription. And in the case of cytokines, we have inflammatory and anti-inflammatory cytokines. So in this case, if this is an inflammatory cytokine, it can trigger pathways involved in inflammation and synthesis of proteins that are involved in inflammation. And one interesting thing is that this pathway is the target for example, a drug that has been developed for eczema. And the drug is called delgocitinib. And delgocitinib acts as an antagonist of the receptor in the JAK STAT pathway for cytokines. So we know that cytokines are inflammatory, some cytokines are inflammatory, and eczema is an inflammatory similar to autoimmune disease. So this is the cytokine that binds to the receptor and triggers inflammation. But we don't want inflammation because we want to treat the patient. So we give this drug, and this drug competes, so it's an agonist, so it goes inside the receptor, and the cytokine cannot bind and trigger inflammation. So we have less inflammation, and this is how this drug works, by the JAK STAT pathway. Anyway, I really hope that this video was helpful. If it was, consider subscribing to my channel and giving a big thumbs up. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll see you in the next video.